As we prepare for meditation, we breathe, we breathe, we breathe, being present to what is. Breathe, my body, breathe, my thoughts, breathe, my feelings, breathe, my relationships, breathe, my life, the world and the universe. We breathe, we're awake, we're awake, breathe, we're alive, breathe, we're conscious, breathe, we're here now. We breathe into the silence, we breathe into the music, we breathe into the breath itself. Oh, we breathe. We breathe, we breathe, we breathe, we breathe to what is. Reunite, breathe, my body, breathe, my thoughts, breathe, my feelings, breathe, my relationships, breathe, my life, the world and the universe. We breathe, we're awake. We're alive, breathe, we're alive, breathe, we're conscious, breathe, we're here now. We lean into the silence, we breathe into the music, breathe into the breath itself. Oh, we breathe.
It is often said that prayer is when we speak to God, and that meditation is when God speaks to us. In this moment, we simply dissolve the to and the from, and simply know the is. God is. Right here and right now, there is no external force or power that we need to speak to or that needs to speak to us. As our Declaration of Principles says, we believe in the direct revelation of spiritual truth, awareness, and revelations through our own intuitive and spiritual nature. We recognize that because God is all there is, our thoughts are God's thoughts. Our intuition is the universe communicating to itself, through itself, as itself. And so we focus on this truth. As our Declaration of Principles says, we believe in the direct revelation of spiritual truth, awareness, and revelations through our own intuitive and spiritual nature. We recognize that because God is all there is, our thoughts are God's thoughts. Our intuition is the universe, communicating to itself, through itself, as itself. And so we focus on this truth. this inhalation and this exhalation. God breathing itself as us. There is no separation. Only God, this breath, right here, right now. This divine example of yin, yang, inhale, exhale, rise, fall, give, receive, in, out. God breathing itself, this breath, God. This inhale, God. This exhale, God. This entire process of circulation, respiration, God. Which means even this meditation, God. And so we breathe and we know. this inhalation and this exhalation. God breathing itself as us. There is no separation. Only God, this breath, right here, right now. This divine example of yin, yang, inhale, exhale, rise, fall, give, receive, in, out. God breathing itself, this breath, God. This inhale, God. This exhale, God. This entire process of circulation, respiration, God. Which means even this meditation, God. And so we breathe, and we know.
We believe, we believe, this is what we believe. We believe that God is the almighty living spirit, absolute oneness, it is indestructible, and as an absolute it is self-existent causation. This one power manifests itself in, through, and as all creation. But it cannot be diminished, lessened, or absorbed by its creation. The manifest universe can be called the body of God. This is the logical and necessary expression of the infinite self-knowingness of God. We believe, we believe, we believe, this is what we believe. Oh, we believe, we believe, oh, this is what we believe. Ooh, we believe. Oh, we believe that God is the almighty living spirit, absolute oneness, it is indestructible, and as an absolute it is self-existent causation. This one power manifests itself in, through, and as all creation. But it cannot be diminished, lessened, or absorbed by its creation. The manifest universe can be called the body of God. This is the logical and necessary expression of the infinite self-knowingness of God. We believe, we believe, this is what we believe. We believe, this is what we believe. We believe, give. Our consciousness, our being, open at the bottom, open at the top. We're not simply one with God, but we are it itself. It will never stop. SIA, our spiritual center, family and home. It's where we come to practice and remember there is only one life, one mind, one infinite, eternal, self-existent. 'Cause we pause, embodying all that we are. We shine like a glorious star. Our consciousness, our being, open at the bottom, open at the top. We're not simply one with God, but we are it itself. It will never stop. SIA, our spiritual center, family and home. It's where we come to practice and remember there is only one. Spirituality is our way of life. We value laughter, truth and justice. We express artistry as our living practice. So come and join us at SIA. Know you found a community that will love you every day.
Namaste, greetings and blessings, and welcome to the Center for Spiritually Integrated Arts. This is our Sunday message, and I am Reverend Dr. Raymont Anderson, the founder and spiritual director of this center. And I invite you to watch not only this Sunday message, but any of our archived messages. I invite you to join any classes or events that we have going on. I invite you to reach out and email if you have any questions. Questions about this community, questions about me, questions about what we do, or questions about this science of mind and spirit, liberation theology that we practice and teach. And if by chance you find yourself seeking beloved community with other like-minded beings, even if you already belong, are a member of another community, church, or center, you are more than free to have multiple affiliations wherever you are fed and find community. You are invited. And lastly, feel free to click like, subscribe, and share this or any other message or announcements with others in your circle. And with that, much appreciation, love, and blessings. Enjoy the message.
SIA is the place to be. So buckle up, we're making history. And if you are willing, repeat after me. I am love. I am love. I am joy. I am divine. I am divine. Feels good, right? Now today's message begins.
Oh, hey. You caught me humming in my own mind. A world of pure imagination. Yes, so that's, March. Oh, it's going to be my birthday soon. March. What if? What if? That's what we're going to be talking about this month. What if? You ready? Are you sure? A world of pure imagination. When Neville Goddard says in Awakened Imagination, imagination is the very gateway of reality. What exactly is he saying? Like, what does that mean? What is the implication? How does that impact? Like, what is the implication of what he is saying if we are taking what he is saying to be true? In the movie Doctor Strange, when the Ancient One tells Stephen Strange, at the root of existence, mind and matter meet. Was she pointing to, in some ways, the same thing that Neville Goddard is pointing to, but simply from a different vantage point? I'm thinking about that. Because this week, we are going to explore the power of what a life-affirming imagination can do for us and for the world. So if you are ready to dive on in further, breathe. Imagination. What is it? What does it mean? How do we use it? Imagination, the faculty or action of forming new ideas or images or concepts of external objects that are not present to the senses. The ability of the mind to be creative or resourceful. Synonyms: creativity, insight, inventiveness, inspiration, artistry, non-conformity, initiative, and vision. So when we think of this whole concept of imagination, also be mindful of any of these synonyms and others, of how they can also then be applied. For example, let's go back for a moment. If we go back to what Neville Goddard said, vision is the very gateway of reality. Creativity is the very gateway of reality. Nonconformity is the very gateway of reality. What does that mean? When we use our creative imagination in strong faith, it will create for us, out of the one substance, whatever we have formed in thought, In this way, we become a co-creator with God. You good? Are you sure? How are you using your creative imagination? Are you using it with strong faith, strong life-affirming faith? And what does it mean to be a co-creator with God when God is all there is? Breathe. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away comes from what? What is this from? Let me give you a little bit of a hint. When you see any of these, what comes to mind? Any idea what these are from? So the gentleman by the name of George Lucas created this thing called Star Wars. We all pretty much know this, right? I mean, it's pretty much part of our everyday culture at this point. That this individual used his creative imagination, his vision, creativity, nonconformity, to bring an idea and an image that had no physicality, and he made it so. To the degree where you can look at any of these silhouettes and I know which one is Yoda, because Yoda is such a deep ingrained part of my consciousness because of culture. I know which one's C-3PO, R2-D2. Right? For many of us, and I know there are some of us that we may not be able, okay, I don't know. I know that's a spaceship, but I don't know the name of it. But we're familiar enough to be able to say, I think that's from Star Wars, not Star Trek. I know the difference between. But once again, he had an idea, an imagined idea that he brought into form and made it reality. Now, with that idea, did you know that there are 11 major live action Star Wars feature films? There are at least 10 major animated Star Wars series that go back as far as the 1980s. There are hundreds of Star Wars books. Note what it says, with estimates often placing the number of novels alone at over 380. There are well over 1,000 individualized Star Wars comic books. Very much a part of our culture and ethos. Very much so. That all of these things he is surrounded by in this studio were things that in some way, shape, or form, his creative imagination and strong faith brought into fruition. Now, this is an old New York Times article, as it says, March 21st. It was right before my birthday, 1999. But there is a key thing that you may not recognize on his bookshelf. The Science of Mind. That was part of his reading material at some point in his life, and many have presupposed that the Force is his Star Wars interpretation of source or spirit, this all pervading, it's in everything, it's between everything, it animates everything, etc., etc. So did Holmes, who was inspired by world religions and philosophies and such, then inspired George Lucas, who then inspired actors and artists and producers and directors and children and an entire film studio, production studio was created as a result also of this gentleman, because remember what it said? What it said? Nonconformity. Because the equipment and the tools of the era could not produce what he needed them to produce to create the film the way he wanted it to be. So they revolutionized. They created new cameras, new techniques, and more, until such a time as industrial lights and magic was created, and more. Once again, in the film, Doctor Strange, the Ancient One, using the power of what we call magic, says at the root of existence, mind and matter meet. Thoughts shape reality. Thoughts shape reality. How are our thoughts shaping our reality? Because to think that they don't is also a thought that's shaping our reality. If all things are possible to faith, why do we not have more faith? If affirmative prayers are answered, why do we not always pray affirmatively? Let us try to figure out just how we can more effectively cooperate with the law of mind in action. Now, I already hear some of y'all. Yes, there are times when certain things do not show up when we have prayed and declared and affirmed. Yes, and there are various reasons for that. And we can discuss that. But for the moment, let's say, if a great many things are possible by using life-affirming faith, then why do we not use our life-affirming faith more often? And if life-affirming prayers are often answered, why do we not pray in a more life-affirming way more often? Even if it happens 50% of the time, why are we not praying? Why are we not affirming? Why are we not living according to the teaching more often? Because what if one of the reasons why Ray, myself, me, is not able to do all things, including fly, is because I am not utilizing or may not know how to utilize life-affirming faith to that degree? I don't know. Is it possible? Yeah, it's possible. Now, I pray and I use my life-affirming faith far more now than I ever have. And I would say that there are things that I can do and experience now that 10 years ago, yeah, no. 20 years ago, hell no. 30 years ago, I might have been cussing you out for even supposing something as what I believe in Jesus. And Jesus said, and on and on. But note, at that time, I was the most miserable I have ever been in my life. This teaching liberated me from a great many traumas, structures and systems of oppression and. So what happens if we increase the frequency and the power of both our life-affirming faith and our prayer? Imagination is the faculty by which we picture the good we desire. You know, there are many people who use their imagination to picture the worst case scenarios, the what if we crash? What if the boat sinks? What if I get bitten by a shark? What if I fall down the hill? What if I break my neck? What if aliens land and kidnap me and do experiments on me and bring me back here and turn me into a zombie? What if? Oh, goodness. So if you can use your imagination to imagine all of that, why not use your imagination and say, what if peace on earth, goodwill to all begins tomorrow morning? What if I embody this teaching to such a degree that what if all people on the face of this planet have more than enough food and shelter and clothing to live their best lives? What if we create sustainable structures where animals and ecosystems are supported and cared for? What if? Are we picturing that as the good we desire? Or is the good we desire something where we say, look, I don't care what happens to them, long as I'm good? Well, that's how a lot of billionaires became billionaires, because they don't care about the necks that they're stepping on. What is the good that you desire to experience? And to what degree are you picturing that? As the author of the book, The Imagination Manifesto, Ruha Benjamin says, or as they say about the book, Ruha Benjamin's Imagination Manifesto argues that rather than a whimsical luxury, imagination is a critical, disciplined tool. Pause, breathe. Take that in. Imagination is a critical, disciplined tool for survival and collective liberation, which is used to dismantle systems that are unjust and to build and create new realities. It calls for recognizing imagination as a muscle and a field of struggle, a field of effort, a field of energy in our everyday life. To what degree are you utilizing this muscle? To what degree are we collectively engaging this disciplined tool for the creating of a world that works for all? Remember to imagine and craft the worlds you cannot live without, just as you dismantle the ones you cannot live within. What are the systems that you say, yeah, I can't live in a system where, okay, so what are we creating? How are we creating? How are you engaging your imagination to craft and create the worlds you desire to live within? The world you desire to live within, what does it look like? Especially when half of the world, quote unquote, is on fire with famine and war and all manner of corrupt capitalism, dictators, and more. In the midst of this, how do we envision, imagine, and create better? Knowledge got us so far. Knowledge gave us the airplane and fossil fuels and many things, many chemicals and drugs and things. But some of those very things are right now destroying the planet. Some of those very things are causing harm. So Einstein says, imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is limited, whereas imagination embraces all of creation. Imagination is boundless. So to what degree are we engaging our imagination to create better forms of energy that are not toxic, poisoning people, plants, animals, and nature itself? How are we engaging the muscle of imagination to end racism and create equity and justice, equality and liberation? Come with me and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. You familiar with this movie, with this gentleman, Senor Willy Wonka? Familiar with him? Familiar with the song, Pure Imagination? There's a couple of metaphysical lessons related to this. In the film, there's a quote where he says, "We are the music makers and we are the dreamers of dreams." What kind of music are we making? What kind of dreams are we dreaming? Are they nightmares? There is no life I know to compare with pure imagination. Imagination is more important than knowledge. Living there, you'll be free if you truly wish, desire to be. If you want to view paradise, a world that works for all, simply look around and view it. Anything you want to, do it. Want to change the world? There's nothing to it. Imagination carries with it feeling and conviction, which mean life and action. Say it again. Life and action. It awakens within us all the finer, nuanced forces of nature and stirs into action latent powers which otherwise would never come to the surface. Are we disciplined enough to practice so that the inner nuanced things, the gifts, the talents, the powers and possibilities that we have now find expression? Now find a way to show up. Now find a way to surface. Because otherwise, like, what's the option? What's the option? To keep doing things the way we've been doing. That's not effective. It's not reaping the results that we desire. All the power of the universe is not just with you, it is you. Feel it, know it, and act as though you know it is true. If somebody wrote you a check for $100 million and you now have $100 million in your bank account, do you feel it? Do you know it? And are you acting as though you know you are now a millionaire? And what does that entail? What are you doing? How are you living differently than you are right now? Because there are things you are able to do now with that money, like be a philanthropist.
You're able to fund schools and give scholarships. You're able to do a lot of good rather than hoarding the money as many billionaires do at present. Just saying. But you have to feel it, you have to know it, and you have to behave it, embody it, live it. So, a couple slides ago when Holmes talked about the whole latent powers, and one of the first things that came to mind when I first whenever I read that quote or whenever it comes, through to my consciousness, immediately I think of this movie or the book, Dune. Because in Dune, there is, without change, something sleeps inside us and seldom awakens. The sleeper must awaken. Without change, that which is our divine nature sleeps within us. Because we believe that we are these other fleshly meat suits, sinners, whatever that is. So the divine, our divine nature sleeps within us and very rarely awakens because we are not doing what we need to do to awaken it. The sleeper, our divinity, must awaken. Which means we have to be willing to confront fear. Another thing that I love about this story is the passage where I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer attacking the soul. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I must not fear. I must let it pass over me till only I remain. Doesn't say there's nothing to fear. Just ignore it. Metaphysical malpractice, spiritual bypass. No, acknowledge it, recognize it, transcend it, move through it, face it, and let the sleeper awaken. Imagination is one of the most powerful tools for liberation. How? If we were having a conversation right now and I asked you, how? In what way is imagination one of the most powerful tools for liberation? What would your answer be? And depending on what your answer is or would be, are we engaging in it? Are we doing it? Whatever that is, imagination is one of the most powerful tools for liberation because imagination gives us the ability to see, imagine, vision, create things that are not as though they were until they are. Imagination gives us the ability to see a world that works for all. Is it existing right now in the physical? No. Starts as an imagination, starts as an idea, starts as a concept. And from concept, it's now shared, it's now felt, it's now acted upon. And as a result, we change. We change individually, we change collectively, we change policies and procedures, we change laws and structures, we change systems. But it starts with an idea. We are born to be happy, to live creatively, to love, to sing, to dance, and to express ourselves to the full. If that is what we are born to do, then why are not more of us doing it? Because some are oppressed and they're not given the space. They're not given the freedom to do because they don't have the freedom from the oppression. Then what do we need to do to change the system so that the things that they too are born to do, born to be, born to have, that they too can have? It's a really good question. I'm glad you bring it up because we're not really discussing it enough. That's my point. So can we gather and have discussions and say, where are there people who are not experiencing happiness? What's preventing that, and how do we change it? How do we create the space where people can live creatively to experience actual and true love, where they now have space to sing and to dance and to express themselves fully, transparently, authentically, and out loud? Because if this is the vision, but we're not doing the work, then it's a daydream. It's an ineffective daydream, which is akin to metaphysical masturbation. I just want to envision it and it looks good. Feels good. You ready to do it? Ready to do what? You ready? No, no. I'm just thinking about it. Because I ain't got to break into a sweat. I ain't got to get into no arguments. I ain't got to get into no debates. I'm just, joy is the most invisible, the underground union between us, you and me, which is, among other things, the great fact of our life. We might call it sorrow, but we might call it a union. Once we bring it into the light, might become flower, and food might be joy. When we realize there is only one, this infinite connection, and we act as and from that awareness, what kind of synergy is created? How does it change our communication, our collaboration, our cooperation, and our co-creation? When we start from the premise that we are already unified, we are already connected, and build from that, what then becomes possible? Because otherwise, once again, we're simply daydreaming, wasting the day away, daydreaming. Did you know there was such a thing as maladaptive daydreaming, which is non-life affirming daydreaming? Did you know? Did you know that there is positive or constructive daydreaming, adaptive daydreaming, life affirming daydreaming? Did you know? Most of us probably don't. There was a time I had no idea that there was a distinction. Now, keep in mind, now where I am, I understand there's life affirming, non-life affirming versions of pretty much everything. But way back when I was an avid daydreamer, which I still do, by the way, way back when in my childhood, which Tracy would say I'm still in right now, but that's a different discussion. Way back when in my childhood, when I daydreamed often, I had no idea that there were different kinds of daydreaming, different degrees of daydreaming. But looking back now, I realize when I would transition from one to the other and back again, because I could see very easily where I was daydreaming in a maladaptive way, where I was engaging in the, what if my mom comes home drunk again today and her and dad get into an argument again and they pull out knives again and I'm not able to stop them in time? What if? What if I come home from school and find dad dead on the floor because of Lou Gehrig's disease? What am I supposed to do? What if the neighborhood bully sneaks me again and this time slams me in a way where I break my neck? What if? That's maladaptive daydreaming, non-life affirming daydreaming, using the power of my imagination to create the very things I do not want to experience. Whereas positive, constructive, adaptive, life affirming daydreaming is envisioning this thing that I want to create, this song where I am now, this song that I want to create, or in the past, this drawing that I want to do, or painting I see it, and then I do what I need to do to sketch it. I get the model to pose if I need a model, and I sketch them or take a picture and then draw from the picture. But first, it's a daydream. It's an imagined idea. To what degree are you using one or the other or both? Breathe. There is no stopping the person who can think from the end. Nothing can stop them. They create the means and grow the way out of limitation into ever greater and greater mansions of the divine. It does not matter what he has been or what he is. All that matters is what she has. They know that the world is a manifestation of the mental activity which goes on within themselves. So he strives to determine and control the ends from which she thinks. Yes, I'm doing a gender swap on purpose because it expands our minds to stop thinking gender specificity always male. We got to get out of that paradigm. Even when we're going over the quotes that were written by these folks way back when, we need to get over the paradigm because this is not representation. This is not going to create new structures and new systems because this is still abiding by the old, same old, same old. I digress. In his imagination, he dwells in the end, dwells in the answer, confident that he shall dwell there in the flesh, in the physicality also. Knowing, conviction, that every desire is ripe to her, who knows how to think from the end, from the amen. She is indifferent to mere reasonable probability, and she is confident that through continuous application of imagination in life-affirming ways, her assumptions will harden, and conviction will then make it manifest into fact. Are we imagining and thinking from the end? What is the end? A world that works for all. That's the vision. That's the end result, that we are living and experiencing a world that works for all. Okay. To what degree are we confident and convicted? To what degree are we applying our imagination to that? We have to be able to build a world that doesn't even exist yet. That's a different imagination. You familiar with this declaration? Okay. So you know that there's that part in there where it says, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, etc. Have you ever thought about imagining a new declaration? We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all of life is an incarnation and expression of oneness, of of God, that all are equally created and therefore endowed by creation and as creation with certain sacred, divine, and unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberation, love, happiness, holiness, and health. To ensure and secure these rights, we all must act with a higher moral standard and values that respect all of life. The United Federation of Life. See, if we can imagine it, then we can start to have conversations about it. And those conversations inspire the emotions. And from the emotions, there are new actions. And from the new actions, there is the answered prayer. There is the amen. But we've got to see it and speak it and feel it and do it. To actively embody and engage the science of mind and spirit 4.0 as a way of life is to simultaneously use one's imagination in increasingly creative, empowering, and authentic ways. It is to stretch one's mind as far as we think we can, and then to go even further. As the opening statement for Star Trek once said, to boldly go where no one has gone before. This is what it means to create a world that works for all. To boldly create and experience that which we have up till now not experienced. But we can choose now to create it by first imagining what it can be. Breathe. This week's affirmation, our declaration, I will say it first. If it resonates with you, I invite you to repeat it the second time. I believe in and practice the power of individual and collective imagination. Together. I believe in and practice the power of individual and collective imagination. And so it is. And speaking about practice, everything is practice. So this week, your journal questions or your, not sure why that, your journal questions or your Thursday night study group questions. Number 2, what becomes possible when we imagine the pursuit of happiness, health, love, peace, and liberation as a shared spiritual practice? What happens when we change it? That we are no longer pursuing. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created, they are endowed by their creator with certain the pursuit of happiness. We ain't pursuing nothing that's our natural divine birthright. How do we change it so that it is a shared spiritual practice? Number 1, what do I tend to imagine on any given day? It's a good question. Number 3, in what ways can I exercise my imagination muscles more effectively? Number 4, then again, you never know. It could have been number 7. I don't know. Number 4, what about my power scares me and makes me feel a certain way? Reminds me of back in, and I don't have one in here right now, back in February for the daily guides, the one for February 9th, I quoted Paulo Freire from his book, Pedagogy of the Oppressed, when he referenced the idea that those who are oppressed begin to take on the image, the structures, the guidelines of the oppressor to such a degree that they themselves then become afraid of liberation. What about my power scares me? Ooh, number 5. If I could use my imagination today to immediately create a product, a service, TV show, song, instrument, something, what would I create and why? What am I invited to imagine in order to create a world that works for me individually and for all collectively? When will I begin doing precisely that thing? And breathe. As we enter into, oh, no, come on, what is this? The practice ain't done yet. You trying to jump into prayer. Calm down, Ray. Have a conversation about a time that you used your imagination in a non-life affirming way. What were the effects of that? And how did you change it? Now it's time to pray. Breathe. As we enter into that space of infinite awareness, that place of absolute imagination and power, creation itself. And as we breathe the breath that God is breathing itself as us. We immerse ourselves in the energy of the divine that is energized as us. There is only one mind. That mind is God. And so the moment I begin to imagine using my mind, that mind is the mind of the divine, the mind that is the divine. So there is no separation between what Ray imagines and what the universe imagines. And so recognizing the great power of that, the great privilege of that, the great responsibility that comes with that, I choose to actively imagine only that which supports, nurtures, nourishes love, compassion, unity, harmony, peace, healing, forgiveness, and all the things that will be and are required to create, to manifest, and to live in a world that works for all. The manner in which I use my imagination is the manner in which I pray. The manner in which I pray, the manner in which I use my imagination is my amen. And so I choose to steward that sovereign power responsibly, with accountability and integrity, humbly, with honor and gratitude. And I breathe, knowing that it is already so. And so it is. Breathe. Blessings to one and all. Have an amazing week, knowing that you are all of the things that are on the screen, worthy, awesome, loved, and appreciated. So now it is up to you to imagine and to live into a week full of fun, full of health, full of joy, full of love, full of power, full of your own divinity. Breathe. Until next week, see you soon.